Chapter 2. The black cover slid off his face, blinding him with a large white light. He longed to shield his eyes, but his arms were bound together behind his chair. They left him sitting in the chair, alone, for over 6 hours. While he sat, he looked back on what he could remember. After the bag slid over his face, a group of men took him to a room, where they drew his blood with a blunt needle and left him alone in a chair. Soon after, he passed out. From there, all he could remember was waking up here. A figure started to walk in front of the light, a man to be exact. He walked to the center and stood there, hands locked at his front. "You are Lawrence Clark, are you not?" The light blinded his eyes, and he did not feel the strength to respond. "Respond or suffer," stated the figure calmly. The seat grew weary of the man, and the man of the seat. Therefore, the man spoke. "I am." Lawrence stood there for a moment before continuing. "You are found in violation of martial law, more specifically, the 24-hour curfew. Do you agree?" Lawrence fumbled on his words for a moment. "Yes." "The punishment for this is death." A pause was placed in his speech purposefully. "But your country needs you, Lawrence. Are you willing to work with us?" Lawrence once again paused, looking to find an answer in his own head, while still seated in his own chair. "Yes." Lawrence turned and left. The footsteps were the only sounds heard, an echoing of the man's legacy, the only thing anyone would ever recognize him by. Then the bright light was abruptly shut off, and the man felt his feet pull underneath his chair like he was moving across the floor. In only a matter of minutes, Lawrence had moved to the corner of the room. He wasn't quite sure how it had happened, but he knew that he had moved. The room was huge and bare, black and cold. Nothing moved in the room, causing a long, lonely silence. The door on the side of the room opened suddenly, flooding the room with pure, bright light. Several black figures walked in, holding a large silver crate. The door within closed and left the room black again. Footsteps and whispers echoed through the area up into seeming apparent rafters above him. Lawrence heard clicks and squeaks while the crate was opened, but he had no idea what was inside such an object. Suddenly a white light appeared behind Lawrence, and he was sucked quickly into it. His chair was being pulled violently backward into the light, yet when Lawrence turned to see who was yanking his chair to give it the gift of motion, he saw nothing but the white wall. However, before the door he passed through was closed, he noticed that the object the men were unloading was a large pack of dynamite sticks. But why would such a place need to use dynamite in a room that could be used for hundreds of things? Then the door in front of Lawrence closed, and his chair spun to face the hallway in front of him. This sight startled Lawrence, because he was expecting to find someone tugging him through the hallway. He figured he could have been on a conveyor belt, but when he looked down he saw nothing but the chair moving across the floor, free of any outside force. Still greatly in awe, Lawrence decided that he was going to examine the chair to find the source of its mystery. However, his hands were still handcuffed behind the back of the chair, which made movement hard. The chair was shaped like a pear, except for the fact that it had no top, holding his body, constraining his limbs. Looking down, he noticed a bar cross his lap and feet, making it nearly impossible to move, even without his arms. The chair itself was made of a strange metal polymer, even one that the educated Lawrence had never seen before. The chair kept moving down the hallway until it came to a dead end about 20 feet from where it started. A mechanical buzz sounded, seeming to report the failure of devices. He sat there, staring at the pure white corridor he was seated in. The pureness of the surroundings ate away at his soul. Nothing moved or sounded for some time, allowing his head to swivel around and ache from the silence. Lawrence was drifting to sleep, his head bouncing down, when he heard a click. The chair he sat in sunk for a second before abruptly stopping. Lawrence snapped back to life and sat still in his chair, his eyes starting to bulge. He'd immediately understood why the mysterious chair had stopped him.